Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something that could completely change the game for cryptocurrency. I'm talking about the United States, yes, the US government, potentially creating a federal Bitcoin reserve. It sounds wild, right? But with the way things are moving, it's not as crazy as it sounds. Imagine the government hoarding Bitcoin like it used to hoard gold. What would that even look like? And what would it mean for the rest of us? Stick around, because we're unpacking all of it. The history, the reasons, the risks, and the possibilities. Before we get started, let's talk about the platforms you'll need to trade or invest in these coins. Two of the best platforms out there are Binance and OKX. While both are excellent, I recommend OKX for its simple user interface and wide variety of trading options. Plus, if you use the link in the description, you can register easily and potentially get some cool bonuses. So make sure to check that out. So, let's start with what's happening right now. SEC Chair Gary Gensler, the guy who's been all in on anti-crypto policies, is in trouble. The tide is turning against him, and with that shift, crypto-friendly policies are finally making their way into the spotlight. And here's where it gets really interesting. Some lawmakers are seriously talking about the US government accumulating Bitcoin. Yeah, like stacking sats, but on a national level. Crazy, right? But to understand how we got here, we need to take a little trip back in time. Throughout history, governments have always relied on treasure to maintain power. Gold was the ultimate prize, scarce, durable, and valuable everywhere. Back in the day, commercial banks even issued their own money backed by gold. But as things got more complicated, governments decided they needed more control, so they centralized gold reserves into the hands of central banks. In the US, this really kicked off during the Great Depression, when people started hoarding gold out of fear. The government stepped in, outlawed private ownership of gold for investment, and made it the cornerstone of the national economy. Fast forward to 1971, and President Nixon said, you know what, forget the gold standard. That decision flipped everything. Suddenly, we had fiat currency, money not backed by anything tangible. It gave governments flexibility, sure, but also opened the door to inflation, debt, and economic instability. And now, decades later, we're starting to feel the cracks. Inflation is spiraling, national debt is out of control, and geopolitical tensions aren't helping. Enter Bitcoin. It's been called digital gold, and for good reason. Unlike gold, Bitcoin is super liquid. You can buy it, sell it, or trade it anytime, anywhere. And here's the kicker. It's deflationary. There's a hard cap of 21 million coins, which means no government can just print more Bitcoin out of thin air. That's why some people see it as the ultimate hedge against inflation. And when you compare its performance to gold, it's no contest. Over the past 15 years, Bitcoin's annual growth rate has been over 129%. Gold, just 3.8%. So yeah, you can see why politicians like Senator Cynthia Lummis are saying, hey, maybe we should get in on this. Here's her idea. She's proposed a federal Bitcoin Reserve Act. Before I continue, I just want to thank Redot Pay for sponsoring this video. It's the easiest way to manage your crypto. You can transfer your USDT or any other crypto from any exchange straight to Redot Pay. Get a digital card and a physical card to use your crypto anytime, anywhere. Plus, when you sign up, you will get a free $5. Check out the link in the description. The plan is for the US government to accumulate 1 million Bitcoins over the next 5 years. That's about 8% of Bitcoin's circulating supply. The goal is to hedge against economic uncertainty and give the US a financial edge. But if the US starts stacking Bitcoin, what's going to stop other countries from doing the same? We could be looking at an international race to hoard Bitcoin, which would send prices through the roof. But let's be real, there are risks too. If governments hold that much Bitcoin, It could give them a lot of influence over the market. And if an anti-crypto administration comes into power, they could dump their holdings and crash the market. That's a scary thought. On the flip side, government involvement could legitimize Bitcoin and boost adoption worldwide. It's a double-edged sword, for sure. And, history gives us some clues about how this might play out. During the Bretton Woods era, the U.S. pegged the dollar to gold. But when it became unsustainable, they just abandoned the gold standard. Could the same thing happen with Bitcoin? Maybe. But there's one big difference. Bitcoin's fixed. Supply. You can't just make more Bitcoin. So if the U.S. really starts hoarding it, that scarcity could make Bitcoin even more valuable. The big question now is, what happens next? The Bitcoin Reserve Act has a long way to go before it becomes law, but it's not impossible. Pro-crypto politicians are gaining ground, and the global landscape is shifting. Countries like China and Russia are already looking for alternatives to the US dollar. If the US starts stacking Bitcoin, it might trigger a domino effect, with other nations rushing to follow. That could be the start of a whole new financial era, or a whole new set of problems. So, what do you think? Is this a brilliant move or a disaster waiting to happen? Should governments even be involved in crypto? Or is that totally against what Bitcoin stands for? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.